Welcome into Citrus Preps Podcast as we get set for week number 2 of the high school football season. It is my partner Mike Deem. I'm Brett Knudsen getting you set for some exciting high school football coming up this week. Obviously, a really good week number 1. We did a pretty good job of picking the game of the week. Not like we knew. Not like we knew, but great opening game for us on Citrus Preps. As usual, if you want to check us out, you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, all the social media accounts at Citrus Preps on Twitter. YouTube is where the game of the week was last Friday night. Facebook, Citrus Preps, and Instagram as well. And Mike, our game of the week was Crystal River and Dunnellon. As we look back on maybe one of the bigger surprises in the state from Friday night, Crystal River knocking off Dunnellon by a final score of 20-13, first time in a decade and a half that Crystal River has knocked off Dunnellon.
It surprised me. I mean, I actually thought it was going to be a hard-fought game, but I think Dunnellon would come out on the end. But Crystal River played extremely well, and I have to give kudos to Coach Cliff Lowry. He called a really good game, too.
Yeah.
There was a couple of play calls in there that I just like, whoa. That's pretty neat coming off of a high school coach and trusting your players to do that. Not only that, but also having DeAndre Parker run for 125 yards on the ground does help.
125 on the ground, then you factor in a fumble recovery for a touchdown. So total offense, if you want to kind of put that defensive play in there, close to 200 for DeAndre Parker. He was, I want to say, the difference, but he was the playmaker that made the big plays, and he's been that way his entire high school career when healthy, and we saw that.
And he's the one that had the most explosive plays. We thought Dunnellon would have that with Frazier's there. We thought Goolsby was going to be there, but he was sidelined. But, you know, still, Javon Lee, they've got some experience there. Those we thought would be the explosive plays, but it turned out that Crystal River had the explosive plays. Even without DeAndre, I mean, I'm telling you, the quarterback that they had really played pretty well, too, for sticking in there because they alternated between DeAndre and him. I think it was, who was that? That was Ethan McDaniel.
Ethan McDaniel, a junior who really had just sort of been thrust into that role, I think, and played a solid game, had the touchdown pass that tied the game up in the third quarter after a Dunnellon turnover. And then we mentioned the DeAndre Parker fumble recovery for a touchdown, another
He did have an interception, too. I mean,
he picked that one off in the fourth quarter, and I think for Dunnellon, probably, not happy with the offensive line play, not happy with the offense in general, and not happy with the turnovers. And that's what can kill you in games.
The 3 turnovers in the second half were the difference in the ball game.
Yeah, absolutely. So a tough start for Dunnellon. We'll get into them a little bit more in just a minute. For Crystal River, now they focus their attention on week number 2 and a trip to Westport. But head coach Cliff Lowry talked about how it was important to see all of that hard work pay off, even though, as he said, hard work doesn't always mean you're going to come out with a victory.
That's a great point. I told our kids that hard work, the reality is hard work does not guarantee success. That's a myth. That's an urban legend. It certainly gives you a chance if you work hard. But yes, to see it come to fruition through hard work and through preparation, that's a fulfilling experience for a coach to watch his team have that experience right in front of his eyes.
We're a different defensive team this year. We're a different all-around team. We're going to get where we want to be on offense, and our O-line executed tonight, and like I said, I couldn't be more proud of them. I don't care about personal rewards at all. I just want to win, and I just want to put my teammates in the best position to win.
And he certainly did put his teammates in position to win. Week number 2, it's Crystal River at Westport. Westport, a team that started off with a loss as they fell to Forest and former Seven Rivers head coach Ray Green.
I thought you'd get around to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So
32-27.
Yeah, and the question, I'm sure, for Cliff Lowry and his coaching staff and his players, do you avoid sort of the letdown? Because there's not the rivalry like there is when you're taking on Dunnellon, but it's still important to try and continue to pick up wins. We're talking about points in the playoff system, and every week matters.
Well, I think Coach Lowry's got an uphill climb, but also it's kind of sometimes easier because now he's playing Westport. Division I quarterback.
Yeah, going to Tennessee.
Yep, Ryan Maurer threw for almost 320 yards last week and 3 touchdowns. So in reality, you can use that in saying, hey, you're playing against a D1. Let's put ourselves against them and see how we come out. And just like you said, not guaranteed a success, but you work hard, it'll come through. that's the same thing he used for Dunnellon, and it'll be the same thing he uses for Westport.
Yeah, you're right. The motivation would be, can you shut down a guy who's going to the SEC as a quarterback? Can you get it done? Back to Dunnellon. They will be our game of the week again this week as they head back into Citrus County, as they will take on the Citrus High Hurricanes. The Canes shut out at home to Land O'Lakes. I know Coach Varnador talked about how 3 points against, you take that before the week even starts, and you said we're good to go. A little surprising that the offense struggled like that. The defense obviously did their part, and they're going to have their hands full this week.
Yeah, they had 2 costly turnovers in the red zone, and that's when I went there. They were down at the 3-yard line and couldn't get it in, punch it in 4th and 2. So I think, if he looks back on that, Coach Varner's going to look at it and say, hey, a couple lost opportunities there, but we were in the game. We should be able to play well with them. Going against Dunnellon, he knows what he's going to get right now. He's seeing it. He's got some great game film on it. He knows that Goolsby's not going to be there, so you can concentrate on Javon Lee and Frazier's on the outside. They got a little running back Calabaro for Dunnellon, but their defense was really good against Land O'Lakes, so I think they're going to step up in the same way that they did against Land O'Lakes against Dunnellon.
Yeah, a lot to feel good about defensively. We'll see if that old coaching cliche rings true, which is the biggest improvement is between week 1 and week 2. I think we'll see if that happens for Citrus. As for their head coach, Nate Varnador, he said that he expects a pretty good effort from Dunnellon come Friday night.
They're going to be angry coming here. They're going to be angry, and I know Coach Harris well enough to know that's what he's going to be harping on them. Someone's got to pay. We lost, someone's got to pay, and they're going to want to come in here and handle business against us, and that's what we're telling the kids too. It's like, if you think for a second they're going to lay down and die and accept defeat, no, they're on a mission. We're both looking for that first win, and for a lot of coaches, that's the most important one to get, because once you have that, you know how it feels, and then it's easier to achieve the second, and so on and so forth. So I know Coach Harris is hammering that home with his guys, and they're going to come in and they're going to play a level up from where they did last week.
I'm excited to play them. Last year they were some very good competition. I'm looking forward to playing them and seeing what we can do.
Dunnellon's an excellent football team. They had a down game, but you can never sleep on them. Coach Harris is going to have them up and ready to go. And so we're preparing like this is a Super Bowl playoff game, whatever you want to call it. That's how our kids are treating it, and that's how we're addressing it.
And that's our game of the week coming up Friday night live on YouTube at Citrus Preps is where you can find it. Dunnellon at Citrus. It gets underway about 7 p.m. from Inverness, and very much looking forward to that one. Interesting that, Coach Varnador talked about it. Both teams looking for their first wins. Both these teams, I think, when the year started, looked at themselves and said, we can make the playoffs. Citrus tied for the district championship, didn't get in because of points. Dunnellon, of course, a playoff team. One of them is going to be sitting at 0-2 and kind of going to be scratching their heads going, what do we do? Do we have to make major changes, overhaul things, or are we okay? And the winner starts to feel a little better about themselves.
Yeah, I think Price Harris is going to definitely have the Tigers pumped up for this game, knowing that they need, it's not a district game for them, or I should say district, it's points game. Again, this is all the points thing, but still, you want to go against and you want to beat Citrus County. That's what they come down here at Marion County Schools. I mean, Citrus, you got a couple of things there. They're not a big passing team. They're going to be a run game team.
They're going to run it.
They're going to run it, so you're not going to have a lot of explosive plays unless they get the break through the middle. And I think with what they have in the middle for Dunnellon, they have a pretty good gentleman there in the linebacker position, Maurice, I believe it is, and he'll be able to stop the run. So they're going to have try to get on the edge, and I don't know if they're going to be able to get to that point, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, they can put on the game film, Citrus can, of last week, and really one big offensive play for Crystal River, and that was the game-winning touchdown run. So, I mean, you can survive not having big plays if you can play really good defense. That's going to be the interesting thing for me is what shape does the Dunnellon offense take in week number 2? How do they progress or maybe change things? And then also, I think the same thing you could say for Citrus. What does their offense look like in week number 2, and can they perform at a higher level than they did against Land O'Lakes?
Yeah, and Dunnellon, you have that a smallish back and Calabaro and Javon Lee are both on the smaller side. They used to have that big bruising back that they had last year, and that helped them to kind of get to offset on speed and power. And they don't have that right now, so they're kind of trying to find their way.
I would think maybe you're going to see a lot more of Javon Lee running the football.
Read option
because I think he, with Goolsby out, you would think you got to keep the ball in his hands as much as possible, and he didn't get a whole lot of help from his receivers last week.
They're playing at Citrus, so they're Delano's traveling two times in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll see if that makes a difference. Speaking of traveling, Lecanto will be on the road this week as they travel down to Hudson to take on the Cobras. Both of those teams, Lecanto and Hudson, did not score a point last week. The struggles continue for Lecanto coming up with pay dirt. They forced some turnovers, but couldn't make them pay. A good defensive effort. I know Coach Harper said he was happy with the way his defense played. They got to get things going on offense.
Yeah, I think we talked about it last week was, the offense takes a little while to gel and get that feeling behind them. Defense, you can just fly around, try to go to the ball and make some things happen. Defensively, I think they're going to have their hands full with who they got coming in. Hudson's not a big juggernaut, but they lost 36-0, so we'll see what happens. I believe that the offense will find their footing. I think he's got to play with it. I think Coach Harper's going to sit down and go over it and see what he's got from a standpoint of skill positions and go from there. He's got to learn to do something because 0-0 is not a lot of numbers there to put up.
No, you're not going to. And it's a Hudson offense where they're going to have to play disciplined on defense. And Coach Harper talked about the whole goal, defensively speaking, from last year to this year was can't give up the big plays.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll give up a few yards, but we cannot afford giving up the big plays. Coach Harper also talked about how perhaps maybe it's a good thing you go on the road. He hearkened back to his days as a player and how much fun that was, and hopefully that's a recipe for success this week.
I know as a player, I used to love away games. Your focus was a little bit better. Getting away from home sometimes helps your focus. I know even in college, they take your home team, you leave as well and go spend a night in a hotel and just to get away from all the distractions. So I think it could do us some good. And hopefully we'll rally and understand that we got to play 4 quarters in order to win football games.
We got to finish with them, We got to finish. When you're on that 20-yard line, you got to drive that thing in. So, we just got to execute, and then we'll win.
We got to, do our assignments and do them right. If you mess up one assignment, that can turn into a big play. So everybody has to just go out there, do our assignments, and stop it. Stay low, hit, just keep on hitting them till they don't want no more. That's it.
We got some really good football players this year, and I believe in all of them. And I think if we just execute and do what we're supposed to do, we can hang with any team on our schedule this year. But we just have to do that. We haven't put 4 quarters together that way, and that will be the key this week.
There's the key. 4 quarters of football, some offensive production. Both Hudson and Lecanto 0-1 on the season. Still plenty of time, Mike, to get things sort of back together. But again, I think when you start off 0-2, sometimes you start to look at yourself and say, do we have big changes we need to make? Position changes, guys in the wrong spots. 1-1, you start to feel better, a little more confident. The kids start to feel confident. And the one thing I will say, talking to the coaches and the players out at Lecanto this week, they still feel confident. They still believe in what they're doing. They still buy into the hard work they put in the offseason is going to reap some rewards. I think they believe they're close to stopping this losing streak and picking up a win, and this is part of the kind of the revenge tour for Lecanto, another team from last year that beat him, and they've got a chance to get one back.
Yeah, I got 2 things from that when I saw that. It was you got hit, and hit. You got to keep on hitting, which says to Coach Harper about the strength that he's done. These kids have been working in the weight room and doing what they're supposed to do, and so he's got them tagged in there. And then Coach Harper riding the bus. I mean, he likes it, riding the bus.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Maybe he's a little more relaxed and say, hey, we're going to go out there and we're going to, get this. This is going to be our system to go into the buses and we get down there and we get out of our locale and maybe we can play a little bit better, more, like you said, keep it in the focus and what you can do, because you're having to be quiet all the way down there and kind of think about what you have to do.
Yeah, and he's very positive with this group. I think he understands this was a young group last year, a lot of sophomores with a lot of playing time. And, you hope they believe now that they're upperclassmen, most of them, they only have 7 seniors, that this group will take off and make that step. Well, it didn't happen in week 1, but it doesn't mean it just can't click all of a sudden. And a win on the road would make them feel a lot better about themselves. Definitely. So Lecanto will try to improve to 1-1 on the season. A team who's already picked up a win this season is the Seven Rivers Christian School Warriors, as they knocked off Bayshore. Monty Van picks up the win for Seven Rivers, first as head coach. Talking to him this week, he said, graded out about a D. We didn't play very good. They won 33-8. They ran the football extremely well. He mentioned that the offense is not like it used to be. No. They're going to try to run pass, but right now he said the rushing is way ahead of the passing, so you got to ride it, and that's what they were able to do with Wyatt Pepe and the ground game, the linemen. It worked. And I think they're going to try to see, obviously, if they can pass the ball a little better this week.
Yeah, there were very little passing in for Seven Rivers. Wyatt Pepe's 23 carries, 195 yards, 3 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. So he's pretty much the bulk of the offense they have. But they've got a couple of little backs in there. But it's going to be interesting to see how he can make some wrinkles in there, because I don't know anything about the other one, to be honest with you.
Santa Fe Catholic. I know most people think that this should be a relatively easy win for Seven Rivers. We'll have to see Santa Fe Catholic open up with a loss to start their season, but I'm sure Coach Van didn't want to hear it should be easy. He wants to see execution, and perhaps if it is going to be a team that they should be able to handle, you get an opportunity to work on that, because it's the passing game, because they want to get that ready for.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is an important game, and they talked about how as they try to earn a spot in the SSAC playoffs, this becomes a big game coming up on Friday night as they take on Santa Fe Catholic.
Big week. We got to get focused up on this week. This is one of those, it's a district game for us. Being SSAC, this game counts big time for us. So we win this game, it's going to make the road to the playoffs a lot easier.
I mean, we're just focusing, new formations, new plays. Just, one game at a time, win this one and move on to the next one. We're not thinking about next week or the week before. We're focused on this week and this week only.
Our confidence it's always the same. We hope to win, and we always want to win. And that's what we do for practice. We practice to win.
And they'll try to go 2-0. They will be at home for the second straight week. Seven Rivers set to kick off at 7:30 on Friday night, Mike, as they take on Santa Fe Catholic. And, we talked about what would be the change as you change head coaches, completely offensive scheme change, but they're relying on that rushing attack. And, if that's what the guys are good at, and you would suspect that the guys returning would be very good at run blocking, holding those blocks. They've got to really work on pass protection. That's something that, they're not used to. Exactly. That's exactly what Coach talked about. That's, you're not used to finding the guy coming off the end. That's not what you've done. Yeah. If you're a senior and have done this.
And trying to pick somebody else up, you just don't look at that. When you're run blocking, you're going after that one player and turning him or trying to do something, with him, his body weight. But if you're looking at trying to find somebody, that's a whole different story. And backpedaling at the same time.
Yeah, a completely different idea, philosophy that he's trying to drill in, breaking in a young quarterback as well. We've talked about Seven Rivers before. They had a lot of kids graduate who had a lot of playing time. So it's not just a change in coach. It's also a lot of the key components are kids who probably haven't played very much because they had so many kids that have played for so many years.
Well, you say the coach's son is there. He's an 8th grader. He's playing on there. So you got 8th graders playing in there. So this is a different kind of a mentality thing. You have to look at it and trying to gel that. Plus coming in as a new coach and changing the culture a little bit. Rayburn Green was a great coach, but he had a different way of looking things and doing things. So now you have to change everything, and the kids have to get used to that.
But it helps when you're winning. And they won in week number 1, and hopefully have some confidence this week. Remind everybody where you can find us, Citrus Preps, on Twitter at Citrus Preps, YouTube Citrus Preps. That's where the game of the week will be live streamed joined on Friday night. That, of course, is Dunellen at Citrus. Like us and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. Look forward to everybody's comments. We had a wonderful start to the season on Friday night, and expecting more of the same. We will be out at Citrus for the game between the Hurricanes and the Dunellen Tigers. We'll keep you up to date on everything that is going on around the area with scores and everything.
Yeah, and we'll try to keep you updated too on the game. If you follow me on Twitter, MD Sports Machine, I'll tweet out if it's raining because it's Friday, it's Florida, it's
Hopefully
raining.
It won't be. Maybe we'll have a good week that'll help attendance as well, keep people showing up. So looking forward to that. As always, check us out throughout the week. We will have stories, updates, everything on our YouTube account. And as we said, join us on Friday night for the game of the week. It is Dunellen taking on Citrus. So we look forward to that. Thanks for tuning in this week, and we'll check in with you next week as we get ready for another week of not just high school football, but high school sports in Citrus County.